Hello, everyone. I've got Sonia Cruz Oro on the show today. Very excited to be speaking to you. Welcome.
Hi, Pauline. Welcome. Thank you very much for having me. So happy to be here.
Honor to have you. So, Sonia, please introduce yourself and what do you do?
Sure. Look, my name is Sonia Cruz Oro, as you well said. I'm originally from Spain, but I'm currently living in Ireland. Actually, I'm in the west of Ireland right now. Just moved here 6 years ago. My background is in corporate IT, but actually I am now a travel coach, travel and life coach. I like to describe it like a mix between life coaching and travel agent, like a mix of the both combinations. And my specialty is travel for self-discovery.
Wow, that's amazing. And yeah, very interesting as well. Like I haven't heard about travel coaching before. So it'd be good to learn from you and for the audience as well as to what it's all about. But first of all, what's your story? Like how did this all, this idea or this travel coaching, how did it all start?
Yeah, it's true that it's a concept that is quite new. And actually, I didn't even know myself about it since 1.5 years ago that I discovered. And actually, I implemented. I was my first client. I like to say I was my first client because I didn't even know that I was doing that, but I transformed my whole life through travel. And as I said, my background is in corporate IT. I've been doing this all my life since my early 20s, and even moved countries from Spain to Ireland with promotions because this is what I was doing. My life career was like, try to climb the ladder of the corporate and one promotion after other. And this is how I landed here in this beautiful country. But then it was a moment of my life that was early 2018 that I had to make a decision because it was like a big promotion available that I thought rationally, logically is the way to go, was the opportunity I was waiting for. But something inside didn't feel good. Something didn't feel aligned. I imagined myself there in that position and I didn't see myself happy. And I didn't understand because, all the ticks, all the reasons I even moved countries because of this kind of opportunity, and I didn't feel was for me. So I decided to, it's like my brain said something, my heart said a different thing. So I decided to do nothing, don't go for this opportunity and actually think about. So for the first time in my life, I think I stopped to think about what I really wanted instead of just going by default and the next logical step of what you were supposed to do. And I stop and I start thinking what I really want, what I really like, right? What are my passions? And I arrived to the conclusion that two of my passions, big passions, one is personal development. I always been so interested in mindset, in growing, becoming the best version of myself. I study psychology also in the university, and I'm a neurolinguistic program master practitioner. I love coaching. All this always attractive, and I implement it a lot, and also implementing in my work. But the other big passion was travel. And in that moment, I realized that I was not investing time as much as the other passion. I was not investing time on it. I was more focused on my work, and travel was always in the back of my mind, but I felt like it was something that I will do one day. One day I will do it for sure. One day I will do it. And I was just procrastinating, and this day never arrived. And I was, about to turn 40 as well. And it was like, okay, when I want to do that? If it's not now, when? So I decided that I don't know, I want just to travel. I just want to travel. I will think what I do with my career because I knew for sure that I didn't want to go in the direction I was doing in the ladder of the corporate, but I didn't know what to do. And I know as well that I didn't want to be in the same place for the rest of my life because, I'm this growing mindset. As I said, I want always to grow and do more. But I didn't worry about that. I just focus on travel. So I just, joined a travel club, meeting lots of people around the world, start traveling. In 2019, I traveled 15 times, visiting 11 countries in 12 months. So it's nearly one different country per month.
Yeah.
And this just changed my mind of what's possible because I always had excuses that, I don't have anybody to travel with, or the right people to travel with, or the people who, I want to travel, they are not free the same day I am free, or I have,
Yeah.
no time
And
to
Sonia,
research.
I think also that a lot of people would have these kind of like thoughts or these kind of excuses, especially when you're working, you're busy climbing the corporate ladder, or, you've got a lot of things that to strive for as well. I'm really curious about when you said that you got to a point where you had the promotion in your lap, but then you stopped to actually think. What were the factors that led you to stop? Because it's easy to just be like, I've got this opportunity right in front of me, and I won't even think twice about it. I'll just, take the next step, or this is what I've known my whole life, and I know I can do this job well, so I'll just take it. Like, what were the things that led you to actually stop and think?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, because this is what I was doing all my life, just going for the same promotion and not even think. So it's like, of course, this is the path I chose, and I go all the way in. But in that situation, yeah, something I only can explain it this way. I imagine myself in that role, and I imagine myself feeling miserable. I don't know. So I just saw the current director in that moment, lovely man, really love my former boss, but he was the first arriving in the department, the first arriving in the office, the last leaving the office. He even lost hair, not seeing his family, lots of pressure. And I imagine, why do you want that? So why do you want to be in this situation? Is because of the money? No, it was not because of the money, because I already was well paid. I already had a good lifestyle. Of course, more money always is good, but was not the reason. So it's because of, I don't know, is the recognition what you're looking for? I was starting asking these questions. Why do you want to be in this position that was clearly more unhappy than what I was in that moment?
And when you were
So it was
asking
more like,
yourself, when you were asking yourself the questions, did you have a certain method or way that you would organize your thoughts? Or was it just like you were just thinking and thinking? Or would you have like some method that you would use so that you could actually download the thoughts and then make a better assessment as to like, should I take this job or shouldn't I take this job? Or what do I want to do with my life?
Well, I now that you say, I have a method, but in that moment, I suppose I didn't think about that. So it was more connecting with the feeling. My own body was saying something was not aligned, something was not good. So that's why it was strong. So it was an incongruence, very strong, that I had to listen. And then is when I start thinking why all this is coming, and that is like, no, don't go this way. And I just start asking these questions. But since you ask, the method I usually use when I am conscious that I'm in a dilemma is, I call it the decision matrix. So I can share with you if you think would be useful. Yeah,
absolutely.
So what I do is, like, I just write like in the paper, like a matrix, like a cross, and I 2 columns, right, and 2 rows, and I put in the first row, I say, okay, what's the best can happen, and in the right, so in one column I say what's the best can happen, in the other column I say what's the worst case scenario, the worst can happen, right? And there in the first row I say, if I say yes, and the second row is if I say no, right? So then I have what's the best thing can happen, what's if I say yes, what's the best thing can happen if I say no, what's the worst thing can happen if I say yes, what's the worst thing can happen if I say no. And usually when I write this down, it gives me clarity about the feelings. So it's putting yourself in that imaginary situation, and also you see the likelihood of what's the probability of all these things happen, and helps to make decisions.
Yeah.
But in that moment I didn't do that, if I have to be honest, Pauline, because that was too strong for me to even doubt about. So it was a clear no. So I just knew for sure this is not what I had to do, but I didn't know what I had to do. So I knew for sure I was not going to be in the same position for the rest of my life, because as I said, I always want to grow and see what I'm capable of, and see what my skills I can use the best. I want to be the best version I can possibly be in this life. So I know I have to grow, but I didn't know the direction. I was lost. I felt so lost because I all my life was doing the same, and it felt in that moment good, and this is what I have to do. I was not disliking my job. I was actually in that moment I thought was happy because I was good, I was learning, but was not enough, was not what I knew I was meant to do.
So
So
it sounds like it's come from a very strong place of intuition. You just knew, and you, even though you didn't know what the next steps were, but like you started with the things that you didn't want instead, and
that's
being
right.
really certain about the things that you didn't want, and then from that point making a decision.
That's right. So I was, creating this life by default, and that moment is like my body said, enough, don't go further. That's enough. So it's another path that's for me, but I didn't know what. So I think just by intuition, also because as I said, I was investing in my personal growth since very young. So I always, coaching, NLP, or also leadership and management master. So I did a lot of work in myself, and I was very self-aware. So I knew that the answer, I didn't see it in that moment, but I knew the answer was related with my passions, because I know your passions are not random. Your passions are put there in your heart for a reason. So you need to just follow your passions, and then the things will happen. So this is what I did.
So how did you
with
uncover,
faith,
like you mentioned, how did you uncover the passions and then start to have that sort of plan for yourself for the next step?
Yeah, so to find your passions is, well, there are different methods, right? But it's thinking about what would you do if you were, imagine you gain the lottery, what would you do with your life? Or if you have to do something and not get paid for it and don't feel resentful, what this thing would be. Something that actually makes you feel happy, connects you with joy. So things that you would be talking all the time, conversations that naturally come from you, or even books that you feel drawn to, or movies, or things that actually you feel drawn for some reason. These are little hints about what are your passions. So I knew that if I had to gain the lottery, I would just travel for the rest of my life. I have this for sure. And then is when I realized, are you actually doing that? How many countries have you visited? And it was like, the way I was traveling also was very different. It was like more ticking off, okay, done. And more another kind of job I had to do when I was traveling. Oh, I have to see that, and I have to see that. And I actually was feeling even more exhausted after the trip than before, So it was not the kind of travel I wanted to enjoy. It was different.
Because even for myself, I know that with traveling, for a lot of people who work in the corporate background, or have quite a demanding role, they use holidays as a way to escape. And
right.
sometimes the escaping it, sure, you feel like relaxed and refreshed for like the time that you're on holidays, but then when you get back into your job or you go back to reality, it's still a slog. It's still something that you feel like, I'm still not happy, although I had a bit of a reset. But so it's hard, like it's great, but
because they just seen what's possible for them and they don't have it, so they even feel more miserable that they are not doing what they really want to do if they are not happy with their current situation after traveling, because they have seen this and they don't have it. It's like, it's like, how they call it, like the after trip blues, that they feel like they are still there and they are missing that.
You kind of need a holiday from the holiday, I find, as well.
That's right. And you said something very, very, on point. So and I was doing as well, using travel as a way of escaping. It's like, like people take drugs, to escape reality.
Yeah.
And actually then come back to the same point they were before. And it's like a wheel, like hamster wheel. So you need to holidays and then back to the same place, holidays and back to the same place. So that's what actually travel coaching helps with. So it's growing from your trips. So it's not going back to status quo after the trip, but actually moving forward to give you this awareness to move forward and actually create the life you want to create, the lifestyle, to do the changes you want to do.
So what did you do next? Like, what was the next plan? So once you were like, yep, I don't want to do this anymore, I know that, and I love traveling, then what did you do next?
I just travel. So as I said, I was just traveling, having fun with no agenda. I was just keeping my job. I didn't change anything, but I was more aware, as I said, with no excuses of not having people to travel with, because I was in this beautiful travel club with other travelers around the world that were in the same situation, having meeting people from different backgrounds, not having excuses about not having time, because you just press a button and you book and you are there, or even the money, because it was like a bulk buying power of travel, cheaper. So it was just no excuses. The money, time, or companions were the excuses that always was, buying myself. So I just, as I said, traveled to 11 countries in 1 year. And for me, it was just the experience to see this is possible, because every year I used to do like one big trip if I was lucky. If I was lucky. And imagine visiting 11 countries in 1 year was like something I thought while traveling full time in a management responsibility role. So it was like only this was like mind blowing that was this possible, and I did it. But what happened afterwards was even more crazy, right? Because I met my husband between one trip to another. So it was very funny, the story.
Wow.
That we were
How did that happen?
I can share with you the story because it's very funny. So we met in Dublin. We were introduced. We met for a date, and it was great. And then he asked me for a second date the week after, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in Dubai next week." And he said, "Oh, no worries. We are gonna meet again when you are back. Have fun." Sure. So I went trip to Dubai. We visited Dubai, Abu Dhabi. It was a beautiful trip, one of the best I remember that year. And then I came back, and yeah, we met again. And we had another lovely date. And he said, "Oh, are you free next week?" I said, "Actually, next week I'm in New York." He was like,
"Wait,
what?
But you met him on the holidays?"
No, I met him in Dublin. I met him back in Ireland.
Oh, so you met him here, and then, but you were traveling as well. You were in the traveling journey. So, but he was here.
Yes. Yes, he's Irish. Yes. So he's Irish, and I was working in Dublin in Ireland. So I was once a month I was traveling, but back, the trips were like 4 days, 5 days, maybe the longest was 10 days, but then back and work. So it was like a normal weekend I was here. But the week after I was in Dubai. And then I was there in Dubai, maybe, I don't remember if maybe 7 or 10 days, I'm back. So we met another time when I was here. But the following week I was going to New York and Canada. So he was like, "What are you doing?" So you're in one place of the world, the week after in the other place of the world, aren't you just a secret spy or something? So he really loved that, vibe, that I was just being happy and putting, myself first and doing what I also felt it. I felt that vibration, that I was living my best life totally.
Isn't that amazing, right? Yeah, because there's a lot of people who, they would love to have a dream partner or to meet someone, the love of their life. And sometimes they kind of, not sabotage, that's not the right word, but they kind of don't put themselves first for a relationship.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? Like, because you mentioned about vibration and all these things. Some people might not really understand what that is, and but I mean, from your own experience in terms of having to build a new relationship with someone and putting yourself first, what did you learn from that, or what kind of give us some insights into what that is all about.
Yeah, when I say vibration, is actually thoughts and feelings, especially feelings, the way you feel, right? So the way you feel, actually people can feel it. You feel it, but other people can feel it. It's like this ripple effect that everybody feels, she has lots of light, it's
lots
like
of
happy.
energy.
Yeah. So that's very, very interesting you said that, because I don't think that was a coincidence, because when you are feeling happy, people want to be around you, and people feel attracted to that. And putting yourself first, as you said, is something that especially women, unfortunately, we are just maybe more trained or programmed to put others first, to care for others. And we actually sometimes forget about what makes us happy, and we are more connected with what we have to do and make sure everybody's happy. And this can also affect how we feel, because we feel tired, we feel maybe resentful sometimes, or maybe people don't understand how we feel, and these feelings, again, people also can feel it. So they don't wanna, it's just normal, it's human. People want to be around people who make them feel good. And if you are not feeling good yourself, how are you gonna make feel good people around you? People, it's not that they are bad people, it's just they want to be with people that are happy. So the first rule is make yourself happy. When you make yourself happy, you will be able to make others even happier. It's like having your glass of water full of water. You can give water to everybody. If your glass is empty, you have not even for you. How you are gonna give to others? You cannot give this energy to others. So that's important that you practice putting yourself first, not feeling selfish, because this is something that sometimes we feel guilty of selfish, of putting ourselves first, because actually it's very generous. When you invest in yourself and you invest in feeling happy yourself, you are generously giving happiness, just because it goes from the inside out to everyone. So it's actually a very generous act of creating happiness in the room, just for your being there in presence.
And I'm curious as well, like because when you're feeling good and everything, your plan to travel. So you said you were going to go to like New York next. Was there any time in your mind where you thought, if I go and do these things, will he stick around and wait for me? Did you ever have that thinking come across, or you were just like, I've got my plan and I'm going to be traveling? And
I didn't even know. No, look, and I was many years single before that, and I was like thinking, I was attracting the same kind of men all the time that were not the men for me, and it's like wasn't a vicious circle that what I'm doing, that I'm attracting this kind of men, and I just couldn't care less, because I thought, look, if he's the man for me, he will stay. I don't gonna care, because why I'm gonna sacrifice my happiness and my life for a person that I don't even know if he's the right person. Because it was like, the first, the second date, what all this happened was very early. I didn't even know. I didn't even think on him about husband at that time. So it was something that just happened naturally. And because of that, I think he even liked me more, because I was not trying to force any outcome of that. I said, look, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. If you like, great. If you don't like, great. So this is who I am. And this is what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So and really great attitude to have as well, that you're like, you're staying in your lane, you're staying focused on the things that you want to do, and the right people will come into your life.
Totally. That's right. Yeah. And I always believe, you cannot lose the right person for you. You only can lose the wrong people for you. If you are, true to yourself, is the best thing you can do, to be surrounded by the right people.
Yeah, powerful. Yeah. Okay. So the traveling continued.
Yeah.
Yep. And then what happened after that? Yeah.
So at the end of the year, actually, it was December. We had the last trip was New Year, and actually did it with my husband. And we went to London to see the fireworks, and it was amazing. This was 4 months. We met in August. It was 4 months. So January, I launched a book. So all this year, I was seeing how implementing, because of course I was traveling, but I had already all this personal development I was doing coaching, working with coaches and mentors, and I had all this already in me. I just was implementing it while traveling without knowing I was doing that, right? So I launched this book on personal development, on all the things I learned and that I implemented in the travel. But at that time, I didn't know was travel the catalyst, So I didn't know that it was thanks to travel that I was actually accelerating these results, because
so you're just doing it naturally. Like you were just sort of coming up with your ideas as you were traveling in that year and everything.
Yeah, I was just recently, while I discovered travel coaching, that I knew that I was doing that without knowing. So in January, I launched the book. Then end of February, March, COVID started, right? And just I was living in Dublin. My husband was living in the west of Ireland. So he invited me to be here because it was more spacious, more the nature was more, for the lockdown was better. So he invited me here in March, and in April he proposed me. We got married last October, and then thank you. We just first wedding anniversary recently, and yeah, so some changes also because I was working remotely still in the IT company, but some changes were there, changing in my role in my department. So I had the opportunity actually to step away. So I had the opportunity to actually, take a redundancy package that I was offered after so many years. I was working in the same company from Spain, that I was moving from Spain and from Ireland. So I took it as a gift from the universe and do actually what I wanted to do, which is starting my business. So I decided I don't want to do corporate anymore. I want to be my own boss. And I want to do coaching. I knew I wanted to coach, but I didn't know what exactly about. But at that moment, I said, it's something about travel for sure. So I started to do research. I started to go online, Googling, and I realized, I found out travel coaching. That was actually a profession, was actually a thing. Quite new.
Interesting.
Especially in Europe.
Yep.
Yeah, so there is a few already in America, but in Europe, I didn't know, maybe 2 or 3 more that were doing that. So I did more research. I found that it's actually a certification with the Travel Coach Network that I got certified about for the Institute International Coach Federation. So I got certified in travel coaching, and since then I started my business full-time last year in the middle of the pandemic. So that's short, so long story short.
Yes, so brave. It all happened so quickly. Like you went traveling, then you met your now husband as well, and then got married, and then you started a business as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So all this happened in, would say, little more than 1 year, in less than 18 months.
What do you think is the thing what was the catalyst or the thing that made all of this happen so quickly, do you think? Because some people think that, change takes a lot of time. It can take like years or something. But for you, I mean, it didn't take like too long. It sounds like within a year, you made all these changes. So what does it come down to when it comes to change?
Yeah. So that's also a question, right, that I ask myself, because with the relationships, I was very unlucky, and also with the business, I had this idea of doing my business since the last crisis, in 2010, the financial crisis in 2010, 2009. Yeah. I was thinking maybe that's the moment, but I didn't feel, I don't know, was the time I was ready, so I had other opportunities, but was that moment, was that year, and I only can say the travel is the catalyst. So the travel is the catalyst of all this work that I've done on myself, that I already did on myself, but I implemented it. Because one thing is knowing intellectually of the concepts, and another thing is experience them in your body, experience them in real life, and this is what travel gave me the opportunity. So I believe travel has 2 big components or elements that are very unique, that there is nothing else that I know that have them, which is the first one, puts you out of the comfort zone, which is the thing that human beings have to do when we want to grow and we want to change. Get out of your comfort zone, out of your automatic programs. That because in your familiar life, 90% of the time you are in autopilot. You are in your subconscious mind, runs the life for you. So since you wake up, you do the same routines, if you think, right? Drinking the same coffee with the same cup, and have the shower in the same way, and do the same routines, go drive.
It's a program, or it's habits. It's made up of routines, habits, and this is like the program that we have.
And they're comfortable, right? Because you don't need to even to think. You can do other things, and it's just a robot. And you are not even making the decisions sometimes. It's your body who already knows the way. So this breaks totally. So breaks this familiarity, this routine, these programs, and actually put you in front of a new environment, new space. And you are actually now making the decisions. You're actually, okay, what I do today, how I react to that, how I, engage with this. So you are making, actually, you take back this control that you kind of lose in your familiarity routine. Also gives you the space to, distract you for the noises of the everyday, the responsibilities. So this is the other big thing. Put you out of the comfort zone, but also frees you from expectations. So that's the other big thing. So it frees you from expectations from yourself, expectations and from what other people, because what other people expect you to behave, what other people expect you to dress, to even, you know, wear the makeup, and you are kind of living, embodying a role, and can be also, I don't know, you can be a mother, you can be a daughter, you can be a sister, you can be even your job role. You are
That's
a
really
manager, whatever
true.
you are.
Yeah, I like that point
If you travel, you
because
are not any of these things. If you travel alone, you are not, you are just you.
I
Yeah.
think
So you don't have to be anybody else.
exactly. So what you're saying is that it's almost like when you intellectually, you can imagine yourself like, or if you're into traveling, you can obviously talk to someone who travels and all that. But until you're in that situation, it's almost like you are breaking the habit of being you in a sense, or your identity, or your normal programming. And so when you are in, I imagine that in a new situation, not only are you uncomfortable because you have to adapt and make decisions on the fly, so you are no longer in routine, but then the other thing is you said about freeing yourself from expectations, because I guess when you're in a new environment, you don't really have those kind of same people around you, and you don't have to really have to play the role like if you were a mom or if you were a daughter, or like you said, there's nothing that's really like, the judgments is all gone in
Yeah,
that
and
space.
especially because people who know you kind of expect things from you, and they see you, the person you are, or you've been in your past. They know your story, so they kind of know, you know, if somebody sees, oh, Pauline is, yeah, she's very generous, she will expect from you to give. But maybe one day you don't want to, you know, you want to just take this time for yourself, and then they're gonna look, oh, what's wrong with you? Why you're not doing that? So they have expectations, and you also put yourself these expectations on yourself. When you are there, you're traveling, nobody knows you. They don't know who are your parents. For me, for example, my father used to be a policeman in a small town in Spain, so everybody know me like the daughter of the policeman. And they already had this. I had this role, so I could feel like maybe they don't know me as me. They know me as my father's daughter. You know what I mean? So when you are there, you are just you, and then you can be liked or disliked or whatever. But for who you are, they don't know your background. They
You
don't
can
know
choose your
where.
own character. So you're your own,
Yeah,
you know, you go on the adventure and you can be whoever that you want to be. Maybe one day that you decide you want to be, I don't know, a happy person. The next day you want to be sad, and it's completely okay.
exactly. If you are always sad, and then one day you are happy, it's like, what's wrong with you? And they make you be sad again because this is who you are.
It's
But
comfortable,
if you are
right?
traveling, you can be happy, and nobody's gonna be estranged. They're gonna say, oh, that's a happy person, and then you see another face, another, you know, face of yourself, and then maybe you can try. You can try in a safe environment. You can try things and don't feel uncomfortable, don't feel people look at you weird or expect different things of yourself, and also meeting yourself. So it helps. I think the best way to explain is it helps to see the difference between who you are and who you were taught to be by society, by education, by other people's expectations, who you are authentically inside when you are not playing any role outside with family and job.
For your experience on traveling, what would you say that throughout that year that you got to really like experience it, get out of your comfort zone, not have the expectations, what were your biggest learnings or takeaway from that experience itself?
Yeah, I would say that just do what makes you happy, not thinking, and this was very big for me because I kind of define myself like I like to control things. I like to, being in control also because of my role of manager. I've been, the older sibling, responsible, making things happen. So I think this is also comes from my own expectations to be in control, be in charge, and control outcomes, make things happen. So I didn't expect to make anything happen. I was just in the present moment. I was just enjoying the life and being the best I could be, but not in a mental way, but more in a relaxed, leaning back body way, so being present, feeling it more than planning, in the future, or, I was always more in the future, what I'm going to do next, and forget about it. So it's not about what I'm going to do next, it's about who I am, and then my future will find me. So when you
Such
are
a
this
big
person,
shift. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Because I
so,
totally relate to you. I think when you are in corporate or whatever it is, when you're in your normal life, it's easy to control things because you are in the habit of it. And there's like structure and there's things in place. And you kind of just, you can plan things and always be thinking about the future and what's next. But when you're in the new environment, you kind of have to be aware of like what you're doing and the decisions that you're making, because your decisions impact what happens next to you. If you like,
yeah.
I'm just that you decide that if someone offers you a coconut water or a drink, do you take the drink or you don't? And if you do, each one's going to have its own consequences, right? So you can't just go and like just do what people tell you to do or be in a structure. It's not like coconut water every day. It's like today in this moment I'm having this, but the next moment it's going to be different.
Totally. And when you are traveling, you cannot control, because there are so many things out of your control. So you are not familiar with the environment. You don't know what's going to happen, right? So it's something that you need to learn to just trust, surrender, and being well with, if you miss the plane, if the other commute is late, you need to learn about these things because are out of your control. You're not in your familiar environment. So it's something that pushes you. There is no option. So it forces you.
What about the consequences? Like if you are in an uncomfortable environment and no one expects you to do anything, for you, how did you feel like, because it's great to talk about that there's all these highlights, on social media and everything. Everyone can have like all the highlights of traveling. But what are the things that people need to think about in terms of, like the emotion side of things? Like sometimes it can get pretty hard if you're like traveling by yourself, or like if it's super uncomfortable and you really don't have a plan. What are sort of the pitfalls of traveling or that experience?
Yeah, well, first of all, I always recommend that people is clear about why they are traveling, right? Why they are taking this trip is the first thing they need to be clear about, because if you don't know why you travel, yeah, basically. So make these intentions clear. So if you travel for growth, if you travel for self-discovery, if you travel just for having fun, if you travel for relax, what is the purpose, right? Well, how do you want to feel when you are there, and how you are going to feel when you are back? So if you are connected with these feelings, reminding yourself about this and journaling. So it's something that also travel gives you, right? That it gives you this self-awareness, because you are more, again, you are not in automatic pilot. So sometimes you catch yourself thinking things. The thoughts are like, oh, where is this thought coming from? Why I'm thinking that? Or why I'm feeling that suddenly, why I'm feeling this, what I'm thinking that makes me feel this. So journal about that. This awareness is very priceless. You maybe are not aware in your daily life because there is so much noise, as I said, and you are busy and you are not even thinking about what's going on. But these are actually automatic programs in the subconscious that are running there that make you feel some way, that you can put the attention there, write it down, journal about it, and actually only when you're aware you can shift them. Right? So if you feel in a way that you don't want to feel, that is not aligned with the way you want to feel in this trip, you go to the thought that is making you feel. Usually if it's a bad feeling that feels bad in your body, is a negative thought that you are saying to yourself, right? So what I usually do is flip it to a positive affirmation. So if you are thinking, I don't know, I'm lonely, or whatever is the feeling that you are feeling is just nobody, I'm here alone. So change the charge from negative to positive and start focusing on how many people are here. I'm not alone for sure. Look at all the other people, how I can start conversations, maybe how I can introduce myself to somebody instead of the victim mode that I'm lonely. How you can take ownership and say, no, actually there is lots of people, I'm not lonely. How I can make friends and start maybe, these conversations connecting with the feeling you want to feel.
It's very self-empowering though to be able to do that. And I can imagine, like you mentioned, loneliness. Now that is something that a lot of people, I'm sure, have been feeling throughout this time of 2020, 2021, all the lockdowns, can't travel, can't do the things that they want to do. And they do feel, not even on the holiday, it's just like in their own home and in their own life, it's like, it's pretty lonely when I can't go to work or I can't see people. So yeah, what would you sort of like, journaling is one way. But I think what happens is when people are in the moment, like if you're stuck at the airport by yourself, or if you're actually in lockdown at home, you kind of get stuck with your own thoughts. And sometimes it's really hard for someone to go and like, oh, I'll just pull out my journal and I'll just write all these things down about my thoughts. Yeah, how do you cope, or how do you deal with that, to change that, to actually get awareness, of that happening?
Yeah, that's quite different, because it's not the same that you feel this way because you are telling yourself a lie, that I'm lonely, when it actually is not, because you can do something about it. When you are actually at your home in lockdown and you actually physically can do nothing, that's very disempowering. So this is totally different situation, and it's very sad if somebody's feeling this way. But of course, we can do things to feel better. So maybe you can say, look, we have social media, we can talk with family members or have a phone call, but it's not the same of meeting in person. We know that for sure, right? So in these cases are very extreme and hopefully exceptional, that it's not going to happen anymore in the future, fingers crossed. But if this happens, what I recommend, so it's like not trying to feel happy. If you are in this situation that actually physically you can do nothing, to meet in person to person you want to meet, or something you want to do, but try to feel just a little bit better. So I see like the emotions like in a scale, like in a ladder. So if loneliness is, in the one of the bottom, the more negative kind of emotions that feel heavier are in the bottom, and the positive happiness and joy that feel lighter are in the top. So imagine loneliness is there, how you can feel a little bit more better. You don't need to be happy. Maybe you just need to be, relaxed or just hopeful. So what you can do right now, what small action, maybe it's just that would make you feel a bit better. Maybe it's just taking hot bath. Maybe it's just cup of tea, maybe it's watching a movie, whatever it is for you in that moment. Don't try to feel happy, don't try to feel, jump at the top of the ladder. Just something that you can do right now that can make you feel a little bit better, and step by step, you can go and climb this ladder and actually come back to feeling better.
Yeah, no, I really like that as well. It's I think when you try something that is not really happening for you right now, like when you don't accept it, or you reject the fact that maybe you are feeling a certain way, that's when there's a lot of resistance, and you can kind of get deeper and deeper into that emotion. But like what you said, it's just like, yeah, sure, I can't maybe travel right now, or I maybe can't see the people, but like there are other alternatives that I can just feel a little bit better, even if it's 1% better. 1% better every day is still compounded to be more as well. So yeah, I think that's a really good share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's a situation that your options are limited, physically limited. So it's just about try not to spiral down with the negative thoughts. Keep yourself, in this state that is temporary. Remember, it's temporary. But in the meantime, how you can keep yourself on track with small things, small actions that you actually can take right now.
Yeah, self-care is very important as well, just to get yourself, like you said, raise the positive vibrations. What can you actually do to lift your energy to feel a little bit better? Because then everything changes, right? Yeah.
Everything will change around you when you feel better. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so back to you were talking about the journaling, obviously, as a way to download your thoughts and all of that. In terms of the work that you do, how is it different from, say, we see like travel agents and consultants and stuff? How is travel coaching different, or the work that you do?
Yeah, that's a question that I have quite often, that when I say I'm a travel coach, people think about the travel agent. But the difference, my own explanation of that is, when you go to a travel agent, is that the end goal is travel. The end goal is actually go in this trip, have this experience. When you go to a travel coach, the end goal is a transformation, a change, like the same way you will go to a life coach. Why would you go to a life coach? So think about a life coach, but actually you will use travel as a catalyst, to multiply the results and accelerate the results of all the life coaching work you will implement, as I said, not only intellectually, but in a real, perfect, unique scenario, which is outside the comfort zone, free from your expectations, and you can implement that, the inner work with the engagement with the destination, and the change happens in the intersection of both the inner and the external.
Okay, so then what would I, if I'm like a new client, would I have to be interested in traveling as a vehicle to come to you, or like what kind of things do I have to consider to go to like a travel coach?
Yeah, so it's something that you actually want to travel. So it's not something that you will come to me and I will say, oh, now I have to travel. No, actually you want to travel, but you want to travel not as what we said before, not as a way to escape, not as a way to a temporary relief. So actually you want to come back as a different person. So I use transformational travel, it's called. So the way the person who will embark in this trip is not the same person who will come back from the trip. You will come back as a more evolved version of yourself. So it's like you want to, get rid of something that in the old, and you want to come back and implement something new. It's a change of lifestyle. It's a change of actually how you feel inside as well, that will take different actions. So it's about shifting. It can be like a big breakthrough, or can be just a small thing that you will shift that will change everything.
Okay. So is it more like, I guess, helping to maximize the experience of the travel itself? For that person to be able to, then they can get the change they want through that experience.
Yeah, so it's like the trip is more like an excuse of doing this, putting this, reconnecting with themselves. I call it reconnect with your authentic self. So remember who they are out of the roles of the daily situation that they are going through. So it's like the excuse that, of course, creates the memories and the feelings and, all this beautiful planet that you can explore as well. But actually, you will find yourself after that. That's the end goal, I suppose, is the difference. So you actually want to find purpose, clarity, confidence, remember who you are and find purpose as well.
Okay. And what do people normally walk away with, like with that outcome in mind? Do they get a plan or like a strategy, or how does it, what do they sort of walk away with?
There is, of course, so actually we meet usually before the trip. So they have the experience, depends on how long is the trip. We meet different sessions before. Then I give them a structure, guidance, right? Kind of, we plan together what they're going to do during the trip, during this, this experience. And then when they are back, we meet again. So we meet up again. So they have been journaling, they have been, doing the different activities we discuss together. And then when they come back, we talk about what happened, what are the realizations, the insights, what actually, and we create a plan of action from there.
Right.
To make sure they don't go back to status quo, but they are actually implement this, and I keep them accountable to implement these changes in their lives. So actually, after each trip, they become an better version of themselves. They are growing after each travel experience.
Yeah, so that's really powerful, because sometimes you go on holidays, but you don't have an intention or you don't have a purpose. You're just going to like feel a little bit better, and then you come back and you just go back to your normal life, but there isn't maybe any kind of process for like self-reflection, or like how to move forward after the trip, like how to maintain the transformation, as you say. So that's powerful stuff. Yeah.
That's a big difference. Exactly. That's a big difference. So not only the insights and the realizations you will have during the trip, but also actually you're going to do something about them. You're going to actually make them happen, make these changes, taking action thanks to the awareness. So it's about having a higher level of awareness when you come back from this trip that will allow you to have more clarity of aspects of your life that you didn't even know before exist, maybe. Answering questions that maybe you didn't even know you had as well, right? So this is so the level of awareness you will have, you cannot see it from the place you are until you come back from this trip, and then we work with that.
Great. In terms of your work, so what are you working on these days, Sonia?
So right now I'm just planning short mini retreats of meaningful retreats, I call them, of self-discovery. So this is for people that maybe they don't have time to do like 3 weeks trip, but they want to experience transformational travel. They want to experience travel coaching like in a 3 days trip. So I'm creating this workshop right now that I want to expect launch in January. So if somebody's interested, I can, share maybe the link. They can register. It's a free workshop I'm gonna launch in January, so they can also get to know better what's travel coaching and how they can experience this transformation in a meaningful retreat from 2022. So if it's part of the New Year resolutions,
yes,
maybe it's something.
Hopefully the international travel is all good, and then everyone can start getting into it. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, revenge travel is coming.
Awesome. We'll drop all the links in the show notes so anyone can connect with you, can do that. Now, I like to always end the podcast with a couple of questions for you. So firstly, now that you have gone through the big transformation for yourself, from corporate to having your own business to self-discovery, right now at this stage of your life, what does fulfillment mean to you?
What does fulfillment mean to me? So I feel fulfilled when I realize that I am already in the place that I want to be. So what, this dream that we have that one day will happen, realize that actually I am already there. I don't need to go anywhere, but I am already in this place, is when I feel really fulfilled.
Yeah, beautiful. And lastly, imagine that you have accomplished everything that you wanted to do. You've gone to all of the countries that you wanted to go to. You fulfilled all your passions and you have a very successful business and, your marriage is thriving. But after all this, there comes to be a day where it's your last day on earth. If that day comes, what would be the message that you want to send to the world or that you want to leave us with?
I would say that this lifetime is not a rehearsal. This is showtime.
That's powerful. Yeah. We only have one life. This is the time. Got to lead your life.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for sharing that. And anyone. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, thank you so much for being on. It's been such a pleasure and I've had a lot of fun learning from you.
Thank you. Likewise.